Frederick of Denmark's history of controversy is extensive. We tell how he went from being Queen Margaret's troubled son to settling down with Mary Donaldson. Queen Margaret's expression of disgust was absolute every time she discovered that her son had fallen in love again. None of them suited him. She dreamed of her eldest son Frederick of Denmark 55 falling in love with a young woman from the monarchy, but he, nicknamed the Turbo Prince for one of his high-profile scandals, refused to date princesses. He seemed more interested in models and singers. So when a lawyer like Mary Donaldson crossed her life 23 years ago, the Queen rolled her eyes but realized that the Australian was not such a bad option. Frederick of Denmark, the prince addicted to scandal. It is said of him that he was a man in love and that he fretted at a great rate about the woman with whom he began a relationship. Such was Frederick of Denmark. From his teenage years a lover of love until his paths crossed with Mary Donaldson and Sydney. During the 2000 Olympics he had countless girlfriends in his life, much to the displeasure of the Zlyware Queen, but perhaps the worst was the one that nearly cost Federico the title of Prince. Malu Amand was a model with whom a very young Federico began a relationship when he was barely in his early 20s. Margarita didn't like the older man's girlfriend's profession, but she liked it much less when the couple was arrested on New Year's Eve 1992. She had been driving his car at full speed while intoxicated, and they ended up getting arrested. It was the greatest scandal of his life, as the matter went all the way to the Danish parliament, where it required the young man to renounce his dynastic rights and for his brother Prince Joachim to become heir to the throne. The reaction of the royal house was not only to strip Frederick of his property but also a letter apologizing for his behavior, while also sending the very young prince away from his fiancée. Since he had enrolled at Harvard for this encounter with cars and speed, he was forever nicknamed Turbo Prince. Studying abroad did not change even remotely the love preferences of the son of the kings of Denmark, as the next girl he met was once again a model, this time lingerie. It was Codia Storholm, and he was very serious with her. They had been together for 2 years, and without a doubt this was one of the couples that stood out to him the most for his parents being related to a man who was dedicated to posing in lingerie. Was between bad and very bad, and again he ended the courtship because of family pressure and from mannequins to shows. It was 1999, and this wasn't the first time Federico had been linked to someone in the entertainment industry. He had been involved with drama students before, but with Maria Montel it was different. He was Sauter and she was a famous singer. This love story lasted a year and ended like all the previous ones with the words, "It's not you, it's me, or rather it's my family." How did Frederick of Denmark and Mary Donaldson meet? The nervousness of the new millennium brings with it a new Olympics, and Frederick of Denmark doesn't want to miss them. He wants to experience them locally in Sydney and travels there with his brother Wayne, Martha Lees of Norway, and other members of the royal family. There are two versions of how Mary and Federo met, one expressed by them in a pub over a pint of beer and in a very casual meeting, and one expressed by their entourage much more formal and in a more formal setting. A dinner to which Donaldson was invited and members of the royal family were also present. The first is much more cinematic. A commoner is talking to a prince and she doesn't know it anyway. They both exchange phone numbers and begin a long-distance relationship, which Queen Margaret doesn't like either. He repeatedly travels to Australia to visit her, and 2 years later Mary Donaldson eventually settles in Copenhagen. From then until they announced their engagement, she would devote herself to learning Federico's language, becoming a Lutheran and beginning the process of becoming the princess her future mother-in-law wanted her to be. In 2003 they announced their engagement, and on May 14, 2004 they said "I do" in a mass in the capital's cathedral. They have 4 children: Christian, Isabella, Vincent and Josephine, and with them they spent their last wedding anniversary, on which Federo congratulated Mary with a message on social media. "I send you my special love for you, Mary, as a wife and as a mother," he said, taking advantage of the fact that it was also Mother's Day. 19 years later Frederick of Denmark feels he has finally succeeded in pleasing his mother, who despite refusing to abdicate at 83 seems satisfied with a daughter-in-law like Mary Donaldson, who knows how to win her mother-in-law's favor year after year. And given what we've seen, it wasn't an easy audience.